Why did Iran and the United States become enemies? Since 1984, the United States Department of State has designated Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism. The U.S. has accused Iran of providing weapons, financial support, and intelligence to international terrorist groups, including groups that have carried out attacks against the United States. For several decades, relations between Iran and the United States, one located in North America and the other in Asia, have been extremely tense. This tension dates back to August 1953, when the United States supported the overthrow of Iran's Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. After Mossadegh was removed from power, the U.S. continued to support Iran's monarchy. However, the Shah's regime at that time severely oppressed the Iranian people. Relations between the two countries fell into a deep crisis in November 1979. That year, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, Iran, and took several people, especially American embassy staff, hostage. In response, the United States imposed severe economic sanctions on Iran, and relations between the two countries sharply deteriorated. In 1984, the U.S. officially placed Iran on its list of state sponsors of international terrorism, accusing Iran of supporting terrorist groups in the Middle East and other regions through military training, financial aid, and weapons. Below are the key events that shaped U.S.-Iran relations. The 1953 overthrow of Mohammad Mossadegh. In 1951, Iran's parliament selected Mohammad Mossadegh as prime minister. Before taking office, Mossadegh promised the Iranian people that he would nationalize the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, expel British shareholders, and make the company fully owned by Iran for the benefit of its citizens. This move alarmed both the United States and the United Kingdom. The U.S. feared disruptions to global oil supplies and worried about growing Soviet influence in Iran, while the British were concerned about losing access to cheap Iranian oil. As a result, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower concluded that the best option was to work with Britain to remove Mossadegh from power. This operation, known as Operation Ajax, was carried out jointly by the CIA and British intelligence. Afterward, the United States supported the return of Iran's monarchy under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi and reinstated pro-Western officials. The 1979 Iranian Revolution and hostage crisis. For 25 years under Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, relations between Iran and the United States were relatively stable. However, the Shah ruled as an authoritarian leader. Over time, increasing numbers of Iranians became dissatisfied with poor economic and social conditions. The Shah used national resources to enrich his allies and used U.S. assistance mainly to strengthen the military, while much of the population remained poor. Those who opposed the regime were arrested, tortured, or killed by the Shah's secret police. In January 1979, the Shah left Iran for cancer treatment. 2 weeks later, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini returned from exile in Iraq and led mass protests that overthrew the monarchy and established an Islamic government. In October 1979, U.S. President Jimmy Carter allowed the Shah to enter the United States for medical treatment. This decision angered Iranian students, who on November 4, 1979, seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 52 Americans hostage. As a result, the United States cut diplomatic relations with Iran on April 7, 1980. 2 weeks later, the U.S. launched a rescue mission, but it failed, killing 8 American soldiers. The Shah later died in Egypt in July 1980. The hostages were finally released on January 20, 1981, after 444 days in captivity. U.S. support for Iraq in the Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988. In September 1980, Iraq invaded Iran. Although both countries are Muslim majority, Iraq was led by Sunni rulers, while most of its population was Shiite, whereas Iran's leadership and population were predominantly Shiite. The United States feared that the war would disrupt oil shipments in the Middle East and threaten key U.S. allies such as Saudi Arabia. As a result, the U.S. supported Iraq against Iran's anti-American government. The war ended in 1988, resulting in the deaths of approximately 500,000 soldiers and 100,000 civilians. Secret U.S. arms sales to Iran, 1981 to 1986. Although the U.S. banned arms sales to Iran after designating it a state sponsor of terrorism in 1984, Iran desperately needed weapons and spare parts during its war with Iraq. The Reagan administration feared Iran might turn to the Soviet Union for support. Instead of officially lifting sanctions, the U.S. secretly sold weapons to Iran starting in 1981. The final shipment, including anti-tank missiles, was delivered in October 1986. In November 1986, a Lebanese magazine exposed the operation, which became known as the Iran-Contra scandal. The 1988 downing of Iran Air Flight 655. On July 8, 1988, the U.S. Navy ship USS Vincennes was operating in the Persian Gulf when it mistakenly identified an Iranian civilian Airbus passenger jet as an Iranian F-14 fighter jet and shot it down. All 290 passengers and crew were killed. The United States described the incident as a tragic mistake, while Iran insisted the aircraft was deliberately shot down. In 1996, the U.S. agreed to pay $131.8 million in compensation to Iran. Attempts to restore diplomatic relations, 1997 to 1998. In August 1997, reformist Mohammad Khatami was elected president of Iran. U.S. President Bill Clinton viewed this as an opportunity to improve relations, using Switzerland as an intermediary. In early 1998, Khatami gave an interview to CNN expressing respect for the American people and condemning terrorism. He proposed cultural and academic exchanges between the two countries. However, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, rejected these efforts, and relations failed to improve significantly. In 2002, U.S. President George W. Bush labeled Iran, Iraq, and North Korea the axis of evil, further worsening relations. Iran's nuclear program from 2002. In August 2002, Iranian opposition groups revealed that Iran was secretly developing nuclear facilities that had not been publicly declared, violating the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. One of the most controversial sites was located in Natanz, where Iran was enriching uranium at levels exceeding civilian needs. From 2005, the US and Israel closely monitored the site and later launched a cyber attack known as Stuxnet, which damaged Iran's nuclear program. Despite inspections and attacks, Iran retained the capability to enrich uranium. The 2015 Iran nuclear deal. After years of diplomatic efforts, the Obama administration engaged in direct talks with Iran beginning in 2013. These negotiations led to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, in 2015, signed by Iran, the United States, China, Russia, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. Under the agreement, Iran limited uranium enrichment and allowed international inspections in exchange for relief from economic sanctions. However, inspectors reported limited cooperation from Iran, and in May 2018, Donald Trump withdrew the United States from the deal. The killing of Qasem Soleimani, 2020. On January 3, 2020, a U.S. drone strike killed General Qasem Soleimani, commander of Iran's Quds force. Analysts considered him the second most powerful figure in Iran after the supreme leader. The U.S. accused Soleimani of orchestrating attacks on American military bases in the Middle East. In retaliation, Iran launched ballistic missile strikes on 2 U.S. bases in Iraq. The October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. On October 7, 2023, Hamas, widely believed to be backed by Iran, launched a massive attack on Israel, triggering a major war in Gaza. Israel responded with large-scale military operations aimed at destroying Hamas. The United States openly supported Israel, seeking to weaken Iran's influence in the region. Other Iranian-backed groups, such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, were also targeted. U.S. strikes on Iran in 2025. On June 22, 2025, the United States launched Operation Midnight Hammer, during which U.S. air and naval forces bombed 3 Iranian nuclear facilities inside Iran. The operation occurred amid direct military exchanges between Iran and Israel, known as the Iran-Israel War of 2025. All of these major events together explain why Iran and the United States have remained bitter enemies up to the present day. Thank you very much for watching from beginning to end. We look forward to seeing you again in our future videos.